Hey, and welcome in again to another episode of Tony Talks Trash About Music. I'm here with Dino tonight to keep rolling on our terrible three rankings here. And tonight we decided, we had a discussion, and after ranking pretty much all the Lou and all the Bowie records, we basically came to the conclusion, and we're trying to be nice about this, but that really the catalog of Iggy Pop was a little bit too messy to do that with. So we really felt that we'd be better served by doing an Iggy top 10. I guess you probably agree with me, Dino, that the solo catalog of Iggy, at least in my mind, doesn't measure up in the same realm that Bowie and Blue does. Would you agree?
Right, right. And it's true. And I mean, there's probably a half dozen albums at most of from the Ig solo career that I listen to on a regular basis. Now, I will pull songs off other albums, but as far as the album itself, uh, very rarely do I go back and listen to 12 or 15 or 18, releases. It's usually a half dozen or so,
Yep.
and then I can find 10 uh, that I think are in the somewhere. Now other people will have certain opinions on others that maybe should belong in the 10, but I'm pretty solid on at least half or more of my picks because I know these have been with me for decades. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a comprehensive review of some of these, but the truth of it is some of these other ones were records. A lot of these that I bought the CD immediately, and then that was it. You play it one time, and it seemed like I did that with Iggy
Yeah.
for a period of time. The other
Yeah.
thing I say this
Yeah.
about, I think we mentioned some of the other ones, but I really think like post train spotting and stuff, he's probably gained more than the other two or anybody's
Yeah.
reputation goes. His music is really, and his profile has risen as kind of a cool guy, across the board since that time.
He's been called the godfather of punk. So,
Yes, there it is, brother. Well, you go ahead, man. You tell me. Let's get started on this, and you give me the. Well, anyway, but before we do it, maybe just a quick thing. But like we said, I think we mentioned in the Stooges video that this really was a huge. The Stooges was really beyond a little springboard for Iggy as a solo.
right.
It really was served still as a basis of his legend to this day. And you
Right.
see him live, and chances are he's going to play probably
He's
50.
going to play Stooges songs no matter when you see him.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And so, but I'm ready to roll if you are, brother. You give me your top 10, Ig, and we'll
Yeah, I'll
move
I'll
on.
certainly do that. And some of these also revolve around some of the live experiences that I've had, you
Mhm.
know, with Iggy, seeing Iggy and one Stooges show. Uh 10. And the reason I went with this, Steve Jones plays on this album from the Sex Pistols, and believe it or not, they did a song or two from this album during the Stooges reunion shows with the Ashton brothers, and that's Iggy's album "Skull Ring" at number 10.
Skull Ring at number 10, and that's from the year 2003. And
Yes.
once again, man, we are again going parallel again. That was my number 10 as well. It's definitely in the CDH, man. It's 61. Iggy is the producer with this. Supposedly, it was released in 2003. Uh,
Right.
Perverts in the Sun, Skull Ring was actually written by the two Ashtons and them, and then and Iggy, and then you've got the same thing with Loser. So there's some of this. There's a one featuring Billy Joe Armstrong. So there's a bunch of different things. The one with uh, Peaches. There's another song. Here comes the summer.
Right.
On You're Cool, but it's another one of these long deals here. And I think all in all, good record, but I think the highlight is the Steve Jones thing,
Right.
probably. And I would agree with you, brother. That's my number 10 is Skull Ring as well.
Wow. So we both agreed on 10.
We did, and that's
Okay.
2003 record on Virgin. Did not chart in the United States. Surprising.
No, no, it did not. My number 9, Back a Ways. And the reason I'm picking these where they are. I'm picking a couple of songs probably off each one. And this had it had a couple songs that got some airplay on alternative stations across the country, and that was blah blah blah. And
Okay. And that was a David Bowie release record, 1986.
mm,
That charted in the United States. It charted 43, and actually charted in the UK as actually 75 in the US, 43 there. The song blah blah blah. What was the one of the singles was I'm a real wild child, right?
Wild Child was
That was the
yeah,
song.
that actually got some MTV airplay. He did a
It did.
video for that.
It
Yeah,
did. That was a pretty big one, and that had another, believe it or not, that had another Fire Girl that also had another song with
exactly.
Jones as well. I'm going to go for mine with 1988's record, but after that, kind of right after that, called Instinct, which
Yeah, Instinct.
Bill Laswell production. After when the Golden Palominos were around, this was about the time. Cold Metal was a song here. High on You, Strong Girl, another Steve Jones song. So it seemed like they would sprinkle these Steve Jones songs through here. Power and Freedom, another one in Square Head. So I think this is the one really where they came through, and most of the time. But the personnel in this one as well: Iggy, Steve Jones, Lee Fox on bass. Really nobody else of name. Bill Laswell
Right.
producing the thing. 43 minutes, not too long for the time. A lot of these records in the 80s had that electronic sound. I really think something
Synth drum sound.
like
Yeah.
yeah, this had a little more guitar to it than blah 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 did. I think blah 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 was a little bit too.
Yeah. Oh, Instinct did. It did. It was a heavier album. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think blah 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 kind of remind me in a way of Never Let Me Down, sort of in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Cool.
man, that's my number
9.
9. Yeah.
Okay, my number 8, and the reason is because it came out right in that he was releasing something almost every year there in the 80s. It's Party, the album Party, with there was a song on there that I liked, and it was called Houston is Hot Tonight. There we go.
Is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, there was a couple songs on there I really liked. It was
This
it
is the
was
mentioned one where he showed up with a knocked out tooth and dove on the
yeah,
did the
it
Lord's
was
Prayer at the beginning and dove on the thing with his well he was pretty much
it
wow.
was new wavy.
Egg
Yeah.
plate. Ivan Craw on bass on this.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Dupre. One of
Who
these
turns up later? He wrote a lot with Rob Dupre.
one of these records, I don't know if it was Rob Dupre, but one of these records he did, I think it's one of the other ones. I know which one it was. It wasn't this one. But he
Yeah.
based guitar player out of the whole fucking record. It's like it's a rock record with not much guitar on.
Yeah.
Bang Bang. Remember Bang Bang was a big one.
Yeah, Bang Bang was another song off that
Yeah,
album.
pumping for
Pumping
Joe.
for Jill. That was another
Yeah,
good.
Eggs on My Plate, Rock and Roll Party, Pleasure.
Pumping
Oh,
for Jill was one of those
yeah,
almost spoken word songs
it
that
is.
he did.
Yeah. And and he also did the pretty harrowing cover of "Come with Me to the Sea of Love."
Oh,
Remember? It's almost as
that's
bad
exactly right.
with the man. And I will make this statement now because we're not going to rate them. But when I went and checked in preparation for this one, we were going to do the long one, and I listened to those Spanish records. I about fell out of my chair when you listen to it. It's almost funny. It's almost like Metal Machine Music Mover or something. It's just
Right.
for him to be. Who expects Iggy Pop to be singing like freaking Astrid Gilberto or something? And that's just so bizarre, man.
Oh yeah.
So weird. But yeah, man, that's okay, man. That's Party, and that's your one from. That's your number what? 8.
That was mine. Party was 8.
Okay, my eight's going to be the aforementioned one from you. Blah blah blah. The Iggy Pop,
There we go.
produced by David Bowie, Richard Real Wild Child, Isolation, Fire Girl was at one. Not really as much as this because of the sound of it. Again, I think, like I said, we
Right.
first there. I think it's a lot like Never Let Me Down. It's a little bit too much electronic. It was in that period of time where the 80s really
Yeah.
ruined good songs, and so
The
that's
Simmons drums.
that's
Yeah.
my number 8.
Number 8. Okay. Now moving on to 7. Uh, this album came out in the 80s, and it was vilified by most of the hardcore Iggy Pop fans. And when I go back and listen to it, I don't love it, but I do like the fact that it's out there. He took a chance, I think, on a lot of it. The writing maybe isn't up to par, but the sound is definitely unlike. It kind of is unlike anything he's done before or since, and that was Zombie Birdhouse.
I'm
Uh,
guessing. I had it ready, man. I was just guessing.
Zombie Birdhouse, produced by Chris Stein of Blondie fame.
Well,
Chris and him worked on it together,
yeah,
and yeah, and that's the album. He wrote almost that whole album, I think, with Rob Dupree.
he did.
Quite a bit
Clem,
of it.
Clem Burke, Rob Dupree, Chris Stein on bass. Chris Stein
And
played
see,
piano.
Clem Burke is that's one thing, Clem Burke is he's like
Great drummer.
he may be my favorite drummer in the world.
Oh my
Right?
God.
And he always see my thing is I think Clem Burke should have assumed the seat of Keith Moon in the Who.
Ooh,
I always thought Clem Burke was underrated, and I always thought that he would fit in perfect in that band. I know he would have had to leave Blondie, but man, if he would have got an opportunity to sit in that seat,
I,
he has played with Townsend on some
mm,
material
wow.
before.
Yeah,
But I always thought, like, especially after Kenny Jones left, after that 10-year stint, he never got along with Daltrey. So I
yeah,
always thought Clem Burke would have been a great person in
yeah.
that seat.
Could have been.
And he's played with everybody, like he's on this album by Iggy. I mean, Clem Burke has sat in, started
Oh,
bands,
oh,
played with everyone.
good drummer. I agree with you. I agree with you, man. Clem Burke. So that's your number what? 7?
That is my Zombie Birdhouse is number 7.
Okay, my number 7. I'm gonna do what your number 8 was, buddy. Is rock and roll
Party.
party again? Bumping for Jill, the regular one we've seen here. Arista Records. Uh,
Right.
kind of on a. You kind of get the feeling at the time this came out, he was sort of slipping again, and living by the seat of his pants in somebody's hotel room or something. But who the hell knows at that time? I know one thing for sure: he wasn't selling a shitload of records. That's for sure.
No,
This
no,
was not at his peak at
not
all.
at all.
Going to be my number 7, and
That's your number 7.
my
So I
rock.
went off the reservation with the Zombie Birdhouse at 7. My number 6, and the only reason I went with this at 6 is because there are a few songs I like what they were trying to do. I passed up a chance to see this live. I should have gone because the band's very good. But I put in Post Pop Depression,
Oh
the
wow!
the one with Josh Homme and the Queens of the
Yeah,
Stone Age.
wow.
Yeah. So and I think they were trying to do something, and I think Iggy's better a lot of times when he has a good collaborator.
Well, at this point, the producer Jock. I mean, this was by far. If you look at success on the chart, I mean, he's number 17. This is by far the biggest
The
record.
highest position he's
It
ever
was
had.
in Europe. It was a hit across the world, and it's amazing that the label was Caroline Records, but they ended up making it, parlaying it into something big. It's amazing that that
Wow.
that would be that. But yeah, that's a big record. Very 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 big. Great ratings for it. Gardenia, America Valhalla,
And
Sunday Vulture, Paraguay, Break It into Your Heart. Basically Josh Homme and him. I mean, it's like 80% of the record he recorded by himself.
yeah,
Josh played the instruments on, so it's really interesting that that kind of a collaboration would work with him. I kind of regret not having this on my thing too, because this I considered this, but for some reason I missed out when I started to put him back in. I didn't.
yeah, and like I said, and I've seen some footage of the live shows, and that's probably that might be the last really good tour that he's had, or maybe he'll ever. I don't know if he'll ever do anything like that
Well,
again.
that's from they had records from 2016, and that even dates him screwing around with the uh, uh, foreign language stuff. I mean, it's amazing. It was
Yeah,
a really recent record, and
yeah, it's a recent. Yeah, this was a uh, recent record, man, and it was very successful, considering everything else he's had up to that point.
well, here when I'm going to go with my number six is that number your number six?
Uh,
Was that six?
yeah, that was six.
Okay, here's my number six, man. This is the aforementioned record where he got pissed off at the guitar player and wiped the guitar parts off. I'm telling.
Soldier.
Have you heard the word? These chicks are sick and tired of being abused. Whatever that's. I love Get Up and Get Out. I love Get Up and Get Out. I love Loco Mosquito.
I'm a conservative.
Conservative
Uh,
around the city is hilarious. Loco Mosquito. It's bordering on the same crap as like Party, kind of somewhat of a well, look at
yeah,
kind of silly, dog food and stuff. Glenn Matlock, Ivan Krall, Klaus Kruger,
Barry Andrews.
Barry Andrews. This is the time of period that he was kind of reeling back from some of the records that he had made before, and not quite as successful this time. I think when you look at Soldier did chart in the United States. It probably did better in Europe. It was number 60 in Europe and some of the France and other places 36, but United States it was like a 166, barely on the charts at all. So
That's the tour I saw at the Bayou was for Soldier.
yeah,
That's the album he released, and that was a great club show, man. And like I said, that band was fantastic, man. He put a really great band together for that
he did.
album and tour. I remember them. Now this was before the days of camera phones and everyone carrying shit around with them, but I know that band was intact for that tour. That was Ivan. That was Barry Andrews. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that was a great band.
You're
Yeah,
not
that was
brother.
yeah. So that's your six.
That's right.
So my five is that album, Soldier. That's,
There too, the same way again. Buck Devil.
Soldier is my five. Yeah, it was and like I said, I got to see pretty much the entire album live that year. So that was kind of play it safe. Oh man, Glenn Matlock. Yeah,
No,
well, everybody wanted to play with him. I mean,
trip.
Klaus Kruger. God,
Yeah.
yeah, I liked it. I liked the sound of it. I thought it was pretty well produced.
Oh yeah. Except
Yeah,
for
so that's my five.
not much guitar on it though, which is kind of
No, no,
you got a
no.
lot of saxophone, man. I like that. Get up.
There's a lot of sax on that.
That sounds like Lou circa.
But there's a lot of sax. You know what? There's a lot of sax on Party too. If you
Yeah,
go
there is.
back and listen to Party, oh yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like Take No Prisoners type of sax.
yeah, oh yeah,
That air
absolutely.
sound, man. That 80s sound. Okay, man. Which year that was your number six?
Number five was
Number five.
Soldier.
Well, my number five is going to be we're all tangled up together, brother. My number five is going to be Zombie Birdhouse. After another listen,
Wow, yeah, you sounded like you didn't like it.
I
So
like it a lot. I listened to it one more time. I listened because after we talked, I listened to it once more. I like it, but I think it runs out of steam on the
it
second.
does,
The problem is this: the
but I
second
like the effort.
does not really sound production wise like a professional. The same thing happened with Miami, the Gun Club. The same thing. Chris Stein
Yeah.
produced that one.
Yes, he did.
Exact sound. It's a thin. It's got a weird sound. It's great for what it is, but it's clearly not a. Its production is a la maybe Kill City, something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty good, but not fucking. Not really professional. And I don't think it had the sheen and stuff. Like for instance, the Gun Club, you could tell right away because they just had done Las Vegas story, and they spent a lot of money on that one. But yeah, man. So that's my Iggy, and that's my number for Iggy, and that's going to be my number five for Iggy.
Wow.
And we're down to four, brother.
So my number four.
We probably got all the same ones.
Well, I don't know. We might separate a bit here. My number four. I saw this tour 90-91 at
Mm,
UC Berkeley, at University of California, Berkeley's concert hall there,
yeah,
and he had a young band with him that year, and I was working part time for Bass Bay Area Seating, so I
yeah,
always had really killer seats for everything when I was
yeah.
there,
Right.
and I was in the fourth row at Berkeley, and they were hot, and he was everywhere. I mean, he was all over that place that night, and the band was kind of grungy because of, I guess, the time period, but they were young, they were aggressive. They kind of reminded me, believe it or not, it was almost like a Young Stooges he'd put together.
Huh.
It was all long-haired guys that played fast and loud,
Yeah.
and that was the album Brick by Brick.
Well, the funny thing of it is the record's not that. The record's Duff
But
McKagan.
it's not,
It
hell, that album has Candy on it, right?
has Candy on it. It also has Waddy Wachtel all over the thing. Fucking
Yeah.
Duff, Kenny Arendorf, David Lindley. I mean, Kate Pearson, John Hyatt. Got tons of people. I mean, it really, not really a band thing. It's a Don Was production.
Yeah, but my God, live he
Oh,
hardened it live. You know what I mean?
it
It was
got the
it
number
was
50 in the U.S. That's how good. Well, it did. It did the
it,
number.
it was a hard live show.
And it
I
was
mean, I
all over the world. No, it was the U.S. It was number 90, UK 50, Swiss 50, Swedish 13, Norwegian 19. I mean, it was huge. Australia, Canada, everywhere. Big,
I
big.
was not yeah, I was not expecting that when I went to the show that night.
And that's
Uh,
what we have, Joe. You know that. So anyway,
what's that?
that's your number
That's my number four, Brick
your
by Brick.
four is that. Okay, my number four is going to be another one that I do not have on vinyl anymore, and I believe you talked about it. In when you were talking about the when you were talking about the Stooges stuff, and I'm talking about the release on Bomp Records here, and producer James Williamson, Kill City, man, short record,
wow.
2:32 long, featuring the song "Sell Your Love," Kill Joanna, a night theme, consolation prizes, master charge. That's a great record, man. Scott Thurston, guitar, uh,
Right.
keyboards, bass guitar on it, and who played in the last version of the Stooges, and you've got James Williamson too, who came back in on it. Tony Sales, man, is playing bass again, and Sales, of course, was on that Red Live album that we talked about with Bowie. The Sales brothers were on that. Hunt as well, Tin Machine. Hunt's on this record too. So yeah, James Williamson production. Different. He's powerful here. It's a great record. I know the mixes were kind of questionable to start with, but
Right.
yeah, man, really, really good record, and it certainly showed the independents that wouldn't sign him at that time that he still had something going. And this really is what you're left over after your Raw Power crashed, after they crashed, and this is really what the next stuff that he and James can continued on and did. It never really had a life of its own. Bomp was really a cassette only label for a while in the West Coast, but anyway, that's my number four, man, is the great 1977 release, James Williamson,
Wow.
Hill
Kill
City,
City.
74, 75.
Well, my final three here are, you know,
Yep.
well, the final five I listen to all the time. I mean, whenever I'm in an Iggy mood, that's where I go. Um, Number three, an album that I bought, probably didn't take off for weeks. Just played it over and over and over again. Um, would have loved to have seen that tour. That was, yep, that was 1979 on Arista. New Values.
Put it up there, Joe.
New
Put it
Values.
up there, Joe, because he's also hit my number three too, man, from 1979. You ever see the one where he's on with that Molly McClegg, that guy from Australia down there, and he's like all hyped up on amphetamines, and he's like
Was that what he, and he would wear those, he had those pants that had, they were like silk or nylon and each leg was a different color. He
yeah.
had these, that's, I think he wore that in a soldier tour, but I also saw him, because New Values was,
And
preceding it.
yeah, the other was TVI Live. That was the name of it.
TVI Live, yeah.
Right. But you look at this stuff and you look at some of this stuff, and it really got a lot of flack for this record. And I think this record was really sharp and snappy,
Oh,
produced well, and
5'1", Billy is a runaway.
comparison to the other one. It got compared to the other Bowie ones. I agree with you. That's my number four too. It's fantastic.
Well, that's my number three.
Well,
Is New Values. That's
that's
your number three too.
my number
Yeah.
three. Sorry, yeah, that's right.
So
And
New
if you
Values across the board.
yep. Girls, I'm bored. Don't look down. The original version. Tell me a story. New values. 5'1". How do you fix a broken heart? Billy's
Everyone, that's another one of those albums that I never skipped. I just listened to the whole thing.
Billy. How do you fix a broken part? It's Angel, man. It's great. A lot
I'm
of
bored. I mean, it's just I'm the chairman of the board. I mean, it's like,
Klaus Kruger on the drums. Got a real nice.
once again,
Yep.
yeah.
Scott Thurston all over. This is really Scott Thurston and now Iggy Pop record. Scott Thurston's doing them, and James. Those are the three people in most of this. But
I
anyway,
love the title track. That's one album where
uh,
the title track might be my favorite track. Usually it never is,
yep.
but I love that track. I love New Values.
I'm with you, brother. Okay, man, let's go on. You go. We might as well roll on down to number two.
Okay, well, one and two could be interchangeable, but number two, Lust for Life.
I'm making an exception tonight. Here it is.
There it
Um,
is.
yeah, because I don't have the vinyl, but I've played the shit out
You
of it.
know the tracks.
You got it. This is my old RCA.
Passenger, been covered many times.
Yep.
Uh, Lust for Life, you hear it on many. Thank God Iggy's got his commercial income, because that is that I think I've heard that on two or three different commercials, national spots.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that album was fantastic.
Personnel on this thing. What do you
That's
think?
my number two,
Tony
is Lust
Hale,
for Life.
again, man. Lust for life, man. If you look at the song, you look at the track list here. Let's go down here, man. You start at the beginning. Lust for life, Sweet 16, Some Weird Sin, The Passenger, Tonight,
Oh
6
yeah,
Blue, Neighborhood Threat, and Fall in Love with Me. Christ, I mean,
yeah. I
it
mean,
was great. It's really hard again. One and two, it's really tough.
it's almost impossible. So I know where your one is. Uh, I know where
Well,
my one is the,
well,
what's
that's your
that?
number two, but I'm flipping them, man. My number two is going to be The Idiot. The Idiot is my number.
Ah,
It's
your number
like
two
love,
is the idiot.
fun time, dumb
Okay.
boys, mass production, China Girl. Shit, man, another great one.
That's
There,
your number two
that's my number two. So
on CD.
we'll just flip them back, and I'll
On
just keep it up.
CD.
Tell me it's your number one now, right?
Well, my number one is the idiot.
You got it, man. Here it is.
Night clubbing, bright white clubbing.
Yeah.
And that, isn't it wild? That guitar right in that song
Uh huh.
is damn near perfect. It's just turn it all the way up, man. Just and oh, isn't it wild? That's just like,
So, what do you
now
think of? What do you
that's
think came
my,
over him during this period? Do you think he was under control a little more in this period when he was with?
yeah, and that's my Iggy New York song. I know that's a New York song of Iggy's. He wrote that when he was hanging in New York. I would assume that is his nightclub experience, his party experience in New York City.
Sure.
I would say he wrote that, and that might have been with a Bowie Lou night out,
Yeah.
one or the other or all three of them.
And my number one is as you know, and my number one too is this one,
Lust for Life.
which is they're pretty much the same. I mean,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
16, Some Weird Sin, The Passenger. Oh, Christ, Success Tonight.
Some Weird Sin is god damn.
Great.
Oh, oh, yeah.
My
That
life.
was
Great, man. Well, anyway,
yeah,
it took a little bit of time, bro, but I enjoy it. I enjoy Iggy. I think we enjoy these records. We could delve into a
yeah.
little bit more on these and having to rush through a list of 20 something. So
Right. I think this was good because we got to the cream of the crop.
you
You
got it.
know, really,
Okay.
with these.
Well,
And
we did.
anybody that's got any other, I mean, there's a lot of people that love a lot of the new stuff. I see that out there when I'm
Hmm.
reading and I'm looking on. And if they've got any other opinions on
Yeah.
anything, especially the new stuff, please get it out there
Yeah.
and post it. And
Tell me about it. Yeah.
let's take a look at your top 10.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Iggy Pop solo albums. Yeah,
Yeah. This is just ours, man. Not, everybody. We're just a bunch product of our own time. At least I am. I'm an old guy, and sometimes I don't give enough shrift to these, to these
right.
newer releases. So, I mean, like, I appreciate you putting that post pop depression in there because that's one. For some reason, even though when I put it together, I never thought about it. I remember when it came out, and I remember hearing
Yeah.
it, but I should
It's
have.
been 8 years already, man. Can you
God,
believe that?
it's hard to believe.
It seems like he released it a year or two ago, and it's like 8 years ago.
God, things are going fast.
Yeah. It was 8 years ago, and it got a lot of when he teamed with Josh
Yeah,
Homme. I mean, they got a lot of heat out of that, both of them. But once again, he was a big inspiration. The Stooges were a big inspiration on the Queens. So of course he wanted to. That was a dream of his to be able to work with Iggy.
yeah. It was,
So yeah, I mean,
well,
it was
there's
great.
still some new stuff, but we appreciate. Leave your guys' list below. Leave your thoughts. We appreciate you.
Absolutely,
We appreciate you subscribing and appreciate you liking the video. And I promise you, we will be back at you before long with something else here, just as much fun. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
absolutely. Peace.
There's a